Good afternoon. Thanks for welcome to the panel, Focus on South America. Hope you had a good lunch, a networking lunch. First of all, I'd like to thanks to Jonathan Worsley and IHIF team to have this panel dedicated to our region. And the objective of this panel is to present opportunities and challenges that we have in the region for investing. Before going to a brief presentation, I would like to introduce the panelists that will join us with a panel discussion. On my left, Ricardo Mader. Ricardo is Executive Vice President of Advisory and Asset Management Services for John Lang LaSalle Hotels and Hospitality Group, based in Brazil, São Paulo. Ricardo holds more than 20 years experience in the consulting firm, and from my perspective, one of the most experienced and professional advisors in the region. So thank you, Ricardo, for joining the panel. Then José Roquet from Pestana Hotels and Resorts. José Roquet is member of the board of directors of the group and is heading the development and expansion plans of the group internationally. He was responsible first for expanding the brand and the hotels in Africa, then in Brazil, where he lives for how many years? 4 years living in Brazil. Not enough. Expanding the Pestana group, and in South America, and now in Europe and US. They have assets, hotels in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, and Venezuela. So the consultant expert world, the investor hotel operator world, and the official world in voice of Dr. Jean-Marcel Fernandez, Director of Financing and International Tourism Promotion of the Ministry of Tourism in Brazil. Graduated in law in São Paulo with an international master's degree in the University of Buenos Aires. Jean-Marcel holds a strong experience in international affairs, responsible in his previous positions in the government for the promotion of government relations relating to the growth of tourism. Thank you, Jean-Marcel. Well, before moving on the panel, I would like to do a very brief framework, a proper framework of hard figures about South America, about our region. First of all, I will introduce the panel. We will have a panel discussion at the initial stage, and then we will continue, with Invest in Brazil, presenting opportunities and projects in hospitality and tourism. Well, why South America? This is the question that we will discuss, but just to give you an introduction, you can see I just compiled some figures about the region in terms of growth demand. You can see from the last 10 years, the average annual growth rate that is almost double from 2003 to 2012, almost double comparing to the world, and most double comparing to America's growth. We are talking about from 14.2 millions up to 27.1 in 10 years. That's the international tourism arrival growth that South America experienced as a region. In 2002, just to have the full year, you see also the average annual growth rate with 0.4 above America's and region. And even though 2013 preliminary figures shows a slowdown in the figures, I would like to respond to the question, start responding to the question, showing why the tremendous growth that, according to WTA figures presented recently, will experience the region from here 16 years ahead. In this case, you will see the world, Americas, and particularly in South America, that in 16 years ahead will double international tourism arrival. Part of the question answered by the two global events that Brazil is hosting particularly within 3 months to see the best football in the world. We are so fanatic in Brazil, in Argentina, and in all the whole countries. And then 2 years ahead, the Olympic Games. So that's give part of the explanation of why South America is an investment opportunity. And again, I did the comparison with the world and the America's comparison, and you can see the annual growth rate, how it's compared with that. To show it in a figure, you can see the green line about South America in terms of how WTO expects how the region will capture tourism demand. So that will vitalize the project that you can expect to have in South America. And finally, just to give you a case of Argentina, the country where I come from, I work for a private organization that gathers the whole private sector, hotels, travel agencies, transport, airlines, and we work to develop tourism closely with the government. In these are the figures that you can see, just to give you, from the last 10 years, how Argentina experienced growth based on this demand growth, in terms of national tourist arrival, in terms of international tourist arrival, in terms of hotel investment, from 8,000 hotels in 2003 up to 13,000 hotels in 2012, and then finally in jobs, what is the impact that you know that we have in tourism. And finally, the positioning that Brazil and Argentina holds in the CBI, the country brand index that Future Brand publish every year, positioning Brazil in the 28th and Argentina in the 30 ranking. So this is just to give you a framework, but let's go to the panel discussion and trying to answer the question on why is South America an investment opportunity. I would like to start with Ricardo from his expertise. Ricardo, what can you?
Well, thank you for the invitation. I think the South America in general is experiencing a very similar situation with some difference, of course. It's a big region. Some countries living some political instability. But in general, we see a tremendous growth in the economy. The rise of a middle class. Only in Brazil, for example, 40 million people were moved from Class C to Class B in the last 6 to 8 years. So they are consuming, they are buying residences for the first time, cars, and now they start consuming leisure. So in general, we can say that the transformation of the economy is very favorable for the hotel development. The region is totally undersupplied. If you take one of the measures that the hotel supply ratio, that is one hotel room for each 1,000 inhabitants.
One hotel room for 1,000?
Yes, you're going to see that, just as an example, US has almost 16 rooms for every 1,000 inhabitants. UK, close to 9. Just to give an example of developed countries. The region, it's an about average of 1.2. And that's because Mexico counts a lot. Mexico has the resort area. So if you take some Brazil, for example, it's 1.4 hotel rooms for each 1,000 inhabitants. Colombia is 0.8, Peru 0.8, 0.9. So
no more than 2.
No more than 2. So we think that the market can absorb just with the level of investments that are happening in the region, mainly in infrastructure, mining, oil. We think that in the next 10 years, the market can absorb a growth of compound 5% a year on these main countries. Right. So that's where I see the opportunity.
And you put in on the table the point that it's not only international arrivals that drive growth, but also national arrivals.
Yeah, no, still the market is dominated by the domestic market. So you can tell that in this, in Brazil, Colombia, Peru, Chile, probably the hotels is still 80 to 85% of the demand is domestic.
Intra-regional demand.
As a total, of course, if you go to the luxury hotels, you're going to have like half and half. But mostly domestic, and then after the regional. So definitely, as you mentioned, these two events will benefit the whole region. And that's what we believe.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ricardo. Jose, as a hotel owner and tour operator with hotels in the region, you have something to add, absolutely.
Sure. Well, we have still a lot to learn. We have learned a lot from Ricardo from the very beginning. We have 13 hotels in 4 countries, Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela, and Colombia. We own and manage. And actually, it has been a tremendous learning curve that we have faced. Of course, as Ricardo was saying, we are totally focused on the regional markets. Just to give an idea, I mean, Brazil alone, where we have more hotels, gets less than half of the international travelers than Portugal, which is a small country. So about 6 million. Portugal gets 12 million. So I think there you can see the tremendous potential for growth in terms of international tourism. Of course, looking inside the middle class, the growth of the middle class has been the engine of the economy and, of course, of the hotel industry. I think the potential also comes from what we, South America, call stability, which to the eyes of an European may look very unstable, but what you see now in South America is stability, even if it might look a bit strange to a European. That's what it is. And I think one of the most important part of the potential of South America is truly the diversity of products that you can offer. I'm not talking only about Brazil, but talking about Peru, talking about Colombia. You have from historical to leisure areas, and I think that the potential is tremendous if you consider the diversity of products that you can have there. Still, of course, a lot of room to grow. I think that the lack of offer is globally a reality, but in certain cities, as we will see, it's not as evident like one might think. And definitely, I think that it's an area after 13 years there where I think a good business plan really is something that you have to work on, because there's a lot of homework to do, because not only it is a complex environment, but also the diversity of the economies require really a lot of homework before you get in. A lot of potential, but some homework to be done.
Do the right things.
Do the right things.
And Jean-Marcel, absolutely, you have something to say about why Brazil and South America it's an investment opportunity.
Yes, thank you, Ramiro. Well, most of what I would say has already been said here by Ricardo and Jose. I think the potential is enormous. The creation of the Ministry of Tourism in Brazil and also in Argentina by the same time is an example of how the governments invest in tourism. We see tourism, people usually see tourism as leisure. Yeah? People, when we talk about tourism, people think of beaches, of a forest, of some time to rest. We see tourism as business opportunities. And I think there are plenty of opportunities in our countries. Of course, market consuming is an example that Ricardo has already said. The middle class is growing in our countries. We have stability, political stability. We have lots of products to offer for the tourists, not only many kinds of destinations and different kinds of tourism. So I think the region has a lot to grow. Last year we had around 6 million tourists visiting Brazil, foreign tourists. This is a record, but this is far from what we can reach, I think. We are far from our potential. We in Brazil, we have a goal. We are now the 7th tourist economy in the world, and we think by 2030 we could become the 3rd one. So this shows how the potential of the country is yet to be explored.
And you're expressing one, from my perspective, one of the key drivers that I think that made South America and its countries an investment opportunity. That is, that tourism is strategically prioritized in the government agendas. In this case, is that true?
Yes, it's true. It's true, and it's not nowadays because of the World Cup or the Olympic Games. It's something that has already begun 10 years ago. This, I think, we are now living the result of something that we've done in the recent past.
Yeah. And your presence here explains exactly that. How proactive, how actively governments from South America are promoting tourism. No?
And I may add also that Colombia and Peru are doing a great job on that. They create promotional agencies, not only for tourism, but to promote the economies, but they focus a lot on tourism. So Colombia Pro Export, for example, does a great job, very dynamic group, young people, very motivated, and they clearly put tourism as a priority for their country.
From Peru also.
And Peru also, yeah. So I think not only Brazil and Argentina, but those countries too are doing a great job.
Yeah, great. Well, let's move into another key question. We try to respond why. Now I would like to put on the table the where. Where are you seeing the opportunities, Jose, in South America? In terms of something you said about, in terms of developed markets, emerging markets within the region, and also which type of projects are recommended, are fitting the reality of South America?
Well, we have more of a 4-star product, so we're not really too familiar. We have a lot of information about the other market segments, but that's what we most focus. I think that our experience in Brazil has been that, of course, in the major cities, the supply is more or less okay, although cities like Rio have, in terms of quality and first location products, amazingly, I mean, you don't have more than 3,000 rooms in the beach front of Rio. I mean, then you have much more, of course, but which is a bit surprising. Like a city like Rio should have more. But in fact, occupancy is what it is. So I think that the product quality average, except maybe for São Paulo, is a big challenge. So I think there's room for good quality products there. Once you get out of the major cities, you start finding out that there is not only one Brazil, there are like 20 different Brazils. I mean, we have hotels in Curitiba in the south, and then hotels in São Luís do Maranhão, which is totally up in the north, and it's like 2 different countries. So you have to learn really about it, because it's to develop a product, you cannot think that the product that you did in the south might work in the north too. Argentina, I think if we say that Brazil is a bit erratic in the way it has been for us since '99, I think that Argentina, maybe because of the tango, we never know. Every 5 years it gives us big surprises, so a lot of emotion. So we have been trying.
What to say about that?
We have been trying to grow more in Argentina, but actually it's not very easy. And if you start going from the cities up to a more, let's say, resort area for ski area, it's extremely seasonal. It's not really worthwhile to invest. So we're not so sure. So I think that maybe in Brazil I would focus more on secondary cities. Definitely on the limited service product, what we have seen growing. I also think that the leisure segment lacks of quality, real quality and modern resorts. You have, of course, plenty, but I don't think that if you compare with the potential of the country, with the size of the country, I think that there should be room for more. Other cities that we know, like Bogota, we see, of course, a lot of potential in the Colombian economy, but an extremely competitive environment, even in our market segment. Peru showing a lot of strength, but still maybe some way to go. And surprises like Ecuador, like Quito, where they seem to be doing the homework properly and showing a certain capacity to plan in advance and to create a good business environment. So I would focus in terms of product, secondary cities, more limited service, and maybe also some leisure.
Right, right. your work, Ricardo, is absolutely demanded in this aspect? Or where are the opportunities from your perspective?
I think because Jose is a contributor of our research. JLL does every year a research that's called Hotel Investment Sentiment Survey.
Okay.
So measures the sentiment of investors. And in the last 2 years, we started doing a dedicated one to South America, to Latin America. And so most of we researched among 500 investors. And yes, Mexico, Brazil, Peru, Colombia, and Chile are by far the focus for these investors. In the next 6 months or a year, they're still going to focus on the gateway cities. I think the big cities still need, as Jose said, still need some quality supply.
Quality in terms of luxury or in terms of...
both, not only luxury, but quality hotel. With good,
hotels.
preferable, but with good infrastructure, meeting infrastructure. Yeah, if you take Rio or even Lima, the hotels are, kind of tired already, so they need some refresh, but not only that, they need new facilities, and you cannot do much for existing hotels. So I think the focus on the gateway cities for the next 12 months will continue, but definitely I think one of the phenomena of the South American economy is the decentralization of the economy. So more and more, again, because of this infrastructures and mining and oil and investments, the economies in our countries are decentralizing, going to cities that had 40, 30,000 inhabitants, and then they went to 150,000 because of some major new investment on a cellulose plant or something like that. So and these cities lack of services and certainly like hotels. So our investors show that they in the next 2 years they're going to look a lot in the secondary cities and in Brazil in tertiary cities. So we do have some investors that already have a business plan and are starting to implement a rollout of hotels in tertiary cities.
Tertiary cities.
Exactly.
Not secondary.
Not secondary.
Further.
Tertiary cities. Cities that, in my 30 years of experience, have never been there. So thank God I have my team going there. But
ask him to say the name of a tertiary city.
My favorite one is Paraupebas.
Paraupebas.
And it's a huge mining investment from Vale, one of the largest mining companies in the world. And so definitely the tertiary cities in Brazil specifically, and maybe in Colombia. That Colombia is the most similar to Brazil in terms of the dynamic of the economy. Maybe because of the historical problems they had with the security and the drug dealers and everything. That the cities they developed independently. And now they are being connected by roads and transportation in general. And so it's a very decentralized economy too. You can pick easily 10 cities in Colombia also that are secondary and some tertiary like Paraupebas. One example is Yopal in Colombia, big oil investment. So definitely that's and the product. The most obvious would be selected service, definitely. Yeah. But although I think the gateway cities need some quality hotels too.
And a fact that explains this about secondary and tertiary cities is that, as you know, the IHIF ranking, the International Congress Association, Brazil, for example, is in the position 7 in terms of the quantity of events that they host. And it's not only São Paulo and Rio. It's not, they are entering into the ranking more secondary and tertiary cities. The same happens in Argentina. They usually have only Buenos Aires, and now we have 11 cities participating and having more than 11, 15 global international events in those. So, Jean-Marcel, what do you? We will have in the second stage of the panel presentations about key projects. But what do you think Brazil is willing, or is sustainability willing to capture in terms of projects, in terms of types of projects?
Okay. Well, before I answer a question, I hope that the surprise Argentina is prepared for us this year is not winning the World Cup. Well, I would say we have, as you said, some projects to be presented here. I want to leave the floor to my colleagues that are going to present some specific projects, very good projects. But if I were an investor, it's very easy for me to say since I'm not, but I would invest in secondary, tertiary cities in the country for sure, and especially where the markets are not so strong. Demand is very strong in the south and southeast of Brazil, but I would prefer to go to northeast, north or center of Brazil because the potential is higher and because money is cheaper there. We have some incentives from the government, so it's much cheaper to get financing to build a hotel, for example, in this region than it is in the south and southeast of the country. So I would invest in the future.
And another fact is that what is happening in the region last year is the connectivity. The intra-regional connectivity, companies like LATAM, this union with LAN and TAM, Aerolíneas Argentinas also flying direct to Brasilia, to Porto Alegre, to Belo Horizonte. Exactly. I mean, these secondary cities are getting benefit from that to a potential demand.
Yes, TAP is a very good example of companies that are flying from Brasilia, from Salvador, from Fortaleza, direct to Lisbon, for example. This is very good because Brasilia is an excellent hub in the country for flights to the north and northeast of the country.
Also the international connectivity with Emirates, with Qatar, with Turkish, exploiting the opportunities. Exactly. Well, we have 5 minutes left, so I want to go to the challenges. Ricardo, the challenges, we talk about opportunities, we see a tremendous demand growth. What about what we need in the region to work on, as Jose said, do the homework, to really get and be welcome to foreign investors?
Well, the challenges are many, but I would select two that I think it's common in the region. First one is financing, with the exception of Chile, that is the only country that has a mature capital market for many years. They really did their homework. So for many years. So you have a very, very strong capital market. So banks, commercial banks are financing any project. And so the rest of that, then you have a little bit of financing now in Mexico, but the rest of Latin America in general, still because of macroeconomic problems, the commercial banks are not financing. And we all know that developing banks, both regional or local, are they are good, but they don't have the dynamic that the industry needs. Yeah. And we know that the hotel industry is high leverage on that. So I think that's a common problem that maybe, again, Colombia and Peru are going this direction of the Chile direction. Yeah. I don't see in Brazil so soon, especially now that the interest rates are raising again. So, and Argentina, the same. So I think the common problem, the most challenging for the industry, it's financing. And not only financing for developing projects, but also for acquisitions. I think the market learns a lot when the investors come and buy. They don't want to take the risk of development. They many times want to try or test the destination, buying an existing hotel, more stable, more mature. But there's no financing for that, not even from the development banks. Absolutely. So definitely, I think the challenge is finance, and until we solve this, that's why the industry is so fragmented in terms of ownership in the region. There's condo hotels in Brazil, it's Fideicomiso in Colombia and Peru, Argentina, growing with condo hotels too. So the fragmented structure is not good for the industry. Yeah. We all know that. We all learned with that. Yeah. So that's, for me, is probably the biggest challenge. And the second challenge that we also show in this research we do is Lack of experienced developers in the region, people that really understand how to develop hotels. So the ideal to come to this region is to partner with developers, but finding developers that have real local developers, but you have excellent residential shopping centers or office developers in the whole region, but very few with hotel expertise. And then, as a matter of fact, the developers in the region don't understand the hotel business. Therefore, they don't like the hotel business. So that's, for me, is the second challenge, finding local developers. And if I have time, I want to add a third one. 30 seconds. Is the industry, we all know, we learn here in the conference that the industry grows a lot with franchise. And finding local independent operators that you can rely your brand is also very difficult. Again, the best example is Colombia. Colombia, for some reason, they have some good local and independent operators that are actually operating regionally. But other than that, it's very difficult to find experienced operators.
That's why companies like Pestana, Accor, Hilton, Starwood, they are working very hard, working on projects. So before giving a minute to Jose and Jean-Marcel to close their opinion, I just listed some of the conclusions. Growing demand, FIFA 2014, Olympic Games, secondary market opportunities, do the homework. That's you need to patentize this phrase, and public and private cooperation in terms of what Jean-Marcel put on the table. So, Jose and Jean-Marcel, 1 minute each, just to conclude.
Sure. I think that one thing we don't need is the political thrills that we have had in the past. I think we really, the hotel business is already a cyclical one. Everybody knows it's not an easy one. It's a long-term thing. So we cannot afford to be in a capital-intensive industry that is already cyclical by itself, with political thrills in the different countries. So that's a big challenge. I think it's something that we really need to make sure we have in South America is stability. We have businesses in 15 countries, and definitely the hardest to do business in are in South America. So that's one thing. Definitely, I think that accessibility is a big challenge. When you look at a country like Brazil that has 6 million foreign visitors, I think that the main reason for that should be not having enough cheap and direct flights. That's the way tourism grows everywhere in the world. So South America will not be the exception. I think that definitely trying to promote accessibility is essential. Of course, image is critical. Everybody is fighting on the same market with huge marketing budgets being spent by many countries. So the countries in South America have to, if they want to play in the first league, in the Champions League, they have to spend more, and they have to invest much more to make sure they have a slice of the cake. So finally, I think that, of course, the financial constraints in countries like Brazil, in which you pay a fortune for a loan, is something that really will, for sure, bring constraints to the market. But you shouldn't forget also the tax, because that depends a lot from the government, and the tax burden in Brazil, especially in Brazil, I don't want to focus too much in Brazil, but that's where we have more properties, is becoming absurd. So I think it's something that you should really consider, because I mean, it's like a game where the rules change during the game. When you start the game, the rules are like this. When you end the game, the rules have changed, and that's not fair for an investor, because we need stability also on the tax side. And finally, I think that the human resources is for Brazil again. I think that you have a much better condition in Argentina and in Chile, but in Brazil is a tremendous challenge. We are giving now positions of assistant manager to persons who are not really qualified enough to have those positions. We are paying high salaries because there is a lack of qualified person, and I think that in the end, that will affect the quality of the product. And I think that Brazil having these two tremendous challenges like the World Cup and the Olympics, I think that's a big effort on human resources is required.
The potential to go for it.
Well, the potential is there. There is a very young population, so you just need to invest seriously in education, and that's something that now I'm to finish with a little bit of politics that you would expect from a socialist-oriented government to invest in the people.
Okay.
You know, I think that's something that you should expect from a government like that.
Thank you, Jose. Jean-Marcel.
Well, I think there are many challenges for sure. Most of them have already been said here. I think the biggest one is infrastructure. We need to have a better infrastructure to receive more tourists. Of course, we see challenges as an incentive to work harder and try to reduce them. The government is working hard to invest in infrastructure in the country. It's becoming much better. I know there is still a lot to be done. And specifically talking about tourism, I think hotel is a good example. That's why we are here. We need more investments. We need new hotels. We need better roads. We need better airports. And this is what we are trying to do. This is not something that we can... Yes, this is not a problem you can solve from one day to the other, but it's a long-term challenge. So,
and as we said, it's a strategically decision from the governments to
Exactly.
support
Yeah.
and have tourism as a
Yeah.
priority.
yeah, the good news is that we are aware of that and we are working hard to reduce these problems.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before passing on Jean-Marcel and Brazil team to show the opportunities, please join me with an applause to thank the experience. Thank you very much. Thank you.